What's up, guys? Today I want to talk to you about what we're looking at when we go into preventative maintenance calls, because there are a lot of problems. So I wanted to give you just some industry facts that's actually happening in all these homes that we go into. So one of the things is airflow. Up to 70% of the homes we go into are going to have airflow issues. So that's why we're looking at the entire system as a whole. We're not looking at the air conditioner. We're looking at the system to make sure that it's going to move enough air through the system to maintain its efficiency and its reliability and its comfort for our customers. The next thing is refrigerant charge. Up to 75% of all units out there are either overcharged or undercharged. So that's why these maintenances are so important. We can put our gauges on it, do our superheat subcooling, do a temperature drop, and really dial in that charge so they get the most out of their cooling system. The next is duct leaking issues. So over 90% of all systems that you go to have leaky ducts. So if there's something that we can do for that, either tape up a few joints, or use some mastic, or just somehow seal this stuff to where it stops leaking. That's going to increase the efficiency and the airflow for the customer. Next is equipment size. As we go into summer and we're running and gunning, because that's what we all do, that's what we're good at, is we start just replacing equipment. We find dead compressors, dead evaporator coils, or condenser fan motors, and somebody decides they want to go ahead and replace the unit. Well, if that happens, we got to make sure if the equipment size that's existing is the right size. And we also got to pay attention to our airflow in the duct system. We can't just swap the box out with the same size and go about our merry way, because that duct system may not be right. So we want to make sure to just do a quick evaluation of that before we swap out equipment. Okay, so now let's talk about some of the things that we might offer as upgrades, or whatever you want to call them, to a system, because this is a lot of times we get in our own way on these things. So I wanted to talk to you just a little bit about this, because I might be able to persuade you to think about it a little bit differently. Because if we think about it differently, because we understand it a little more from a new perspective, sometimes that's all we need to get over our own fears of just talking to the customer about it and actually offering it. So one of the things that we talk about often is a drain line safety switch. Okay, well, as technicians, it doesn't seem like a big deal for us to, for a customer to own one of those. Well, no matter what, I think we can still all agree, even though we might not think every customer needs one, we could probably all agree that it's going to be beneficial for the equipment and for the homeowner. Because think about the total opposite of that. If the drain line gets clogged for any reason, even if you're there 2 times a year servicing and maintaining this unit, and you do a great job and you always blow the drain line out, and maybe you even treat the drain pan. But if for any reason that thing gets clogged, any reason, they could have a grandkid over, or one of their children, or anything could shove something down the drain line, or clog it for any reason. Let's just say it gets clogged. If that happens, what are the consequences? Well, number one, it could flood their floor. And you guys know that on a hot, humid day, those air conditioners can condense over a gallon of water per hour on a hot, humid day. Like, that's a lot of water that it's getting rid of. And if something clogs that, that's a lot of water. Just imagine taking a whole gallon of water and dumping it on the floor in front of the furnace. Now, what if it starts leaking at 7 o'clock at night and they don't notice it till 10 o'clock the next morning? Well, that's, dump 10, 11, 12, dump 13 gallons of water. Just imagine filling up a 1 gallon, an empty 1 gallon milk jug, and then just dumping it on the floor in front of the furnace 13 times. Like, it's unimaginable. It's so much water. So think about the damage that could cause. If that gets to a wall or gets to the carpet, like then we're going to have to file an insurance claim, and we're going to have stress, and there could be other things in the room that get ruined that could be really valuable to the customer. So all the stress, the ruined items, the insurance claim, all this stuff, is it really worth not having that 3-minute uncomfortable conversation to offer that to the customer? I mean, that's pretty selfish when you really think about it. It's selfish for you to get in your own way and worry about your being uncomfortable to not actually offer it to the customer. So you have to look at things this way, because it truly is beneficial to them. It's truly beneficial to you and the company. Another thing would be like a high performance or an upgrade for a filter. So we sell these polarized media air cleaners, for instance. And yeah, I mean, think of it this way, like the regular filters that people use, like the flat panel filters that you see at Walmart and stuff, those things only filter anything bigger than 10 microns. Well, 10 microns is like a dust mite. It's the same size as a dust mite. So a human hair is 50 to 70 microns. To give you an idea, like if you were to magnify a human hair and chop it in half and look down the middle of it, like that circumference is going to be 50 to 70 microns. And so those filters will catch that human hair, right? But they're not catching so many other things, because when it comes to filtration, 98% of all airborne particles measure below 1 micron. And a particle has to be at least 5 microns in size in order to be visible to the human eye. And then 5 microns and below will actually pass through our lungs, so our lungs don't even filter that stuff. Well, if you've got a good filter, it can filter those things to keep that stuff out of your lungs, so you're not breathing it all the time. So that's a benefit. And if somebody has allergies in the home, which most people do, or they live with somebody who does suffer from allergies, how does that not a benefit to offer that stuff? Like we can, this particular filter filters 97% of all allergens. That's going to make a difference on the symptoms that the customer experiences in their home. So if we can drastically reduce the symptoms that they experience, isn't that beneficial to the customer? But yet technicians often won't want to have that conversation about air filtration because it's uncomfortable. It can be uncomfortable to talk about a $600, $700, $800, $900, $1,500 air filter, right? But that's not for us to decide. And that's what happens, is too often the technician makes that decision because they don't want to make themselves uncomfortable. Where the customer could be suffering, or their son or their daughter or their wife or their husband could be suffering from allergies, that we could drastically increase the quality of their lives in their own home, because they're spending, we spend 90% of our time indoors anyways. And at least more than half of that time is spent in our homes. So can't we just get some relief in our own homes? Yet technicians won't actually offer it to homeowners most of the time, because either they don't believe in it or they just don't want to get uncomfortable for those 2 or 3 minutes. And but what a life-changing thing that could be for somebody who truly suffers from having allergies. So we get in our own way of these things because of that. So the whole deal here, guys, is just to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And the more times you do that, the less comfortable you get, because it's not about you. It doesn't matter what the customer says. They can say yes, they can say no, they can say maybe. It doesn't matter. But if you did your due diligence and you if you offered some of the solutions that you can have for them to have a better quality of life in their own home, then you did your job. Then you were the professional. I've talked about this before, but it's kind of like a doctor. If a doctor doesn't want to, a doctor finds out that somebody has a cancer diagnosis, and he's got to go tell that patient that you've got cancer. And that can't be a fun thing. That's got to be like the worst thing that a doctor can have to do. Well, it doesn't stop them from doing it. And that's what I'm talking about here. It can't, when we find solutions to help that customer, my uncomfortability can't stop me from having that conversation with the customer, because it's all about them. It's all about what we can do to increase and enhance their comfort in their homes. So when you start thinking about things like this way, it's going to transform the way that you communicate. It's going to transform the way the results that show up on your average invoice and on your percentage of happy customers and reviews and everything else. Because that's what we also don't tend to put together as technicians, is that offering these things and being that professional and having that conversation actually creates a far superior service to somebody who won't have that conversation. And as a result, we get way more reviews and we get way more happy customers. And we get to sell more product and everybody wins. So think about this, guys. If you want to learn more about being a better technician, I want you to check out HVACServiceReady.com. That's HVACServiceReady.com. I have a technician membership. That's going to be your best option. Just go in. I think it's $20 a month is what I have it on, maybe. If it's not $20, then it's $47, but it's extremely affordable. So just get in there, join the technician membership, and check it out. It's going to help you become a better technician, because the more knowledge you have is going to relate to the more results that you get. So I hope this helped. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you can take exactly what I just showed you and talked to you about and use it. Use it in the field and just serve your customers, because those people who find the most solutions to help their customers, they're always going to win. And the results will speak for themselves. So, love you guys. Thanks for watching. Have a great weekend. Go make money. Boom.